4 presents Blood of the Father, Heart of Steel.
This is Gary Butterfield.
This is Cole Ross.
And this whole episode is going to be backwards. You figure it out.
There will be a visual cue to let you know where we're going to be.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, I didn't think that through.
Well, nevertheless. We're talking about the premiere of Season 4. We're in Season 4 times, baby.
Mm-hmm. It was miserable for the boys, but it is great for your boys.
Mm-hmm. And they also perk up. They get their little break.
Yeah.
You know? So this episode was written by Jackson Public and Doc Hammer. Originally aired October 18th, 2009. This has all the world of a Doc Hammer, and basically confirmed that he kind of took it over.
Yeah.
This is a Doc Hammer-ass premiere.
It indeed is. I mean, just because of the structural stuff, and because honestly, it probably goes to like a little bit too far of a length to explain things that happen. People criticized it for being unclear. Like by the end of this, it's pretty clear exactly what happened. So
yeah, I'm on board with it because I'm on board with antagonistic Venture Brothers. Yeah, it's not like my favorite episode of my favorite season or anything, but I think it's interesting.
Yeah,
I said I think it's interesting. So this is the first episode of Season 4. We're setting up the new status quo in medias res. Brock is gone, and during portions of this, he's been gone for a while. Yeah. 24 is dead, and during portions of this, he's been gone for a while. There's no cloning backup plan, and we are fully in the Sergeant Hadrid era of the Venture Brothers. He is established.
Yeah, he has his own uniform and everything. He's even tried to impose a uniform on the Ventures. They and I think it's in the book. They slip up and call it a jumpsuit. I just wanted to shout at them. No, they're speed suits. Out of their mouth. Come on. About the season, we alluded to this being a rough time for Hammer and Public. Kind of seemed to be more rough on Jackson Public based on the art book. It was mostly him talking about like all the stuff he was going through as they were putting this together, including quitting smoking by taking Chantix, the stop smoking drug that gives you horrible nightmares. That's like literally
mostly about cigarettes eating you and like cigarettes killing your family and stuff.
But they greenlit Adult Swim greenlit season 3 and season 4 at the same time, and that kind of got them onto a schedule of like trying to treat it like it was a regular show that would air like a new season every year, and this led to them kind of crashing and burning.
Yeah. And this season, like a lot of, Breaking Bad did this as well. This was maybe the first introduction I had to the multi-part season.
Yes.
Which is real weird to me. Like it's basically season 4 and 5.
Yes.
It was going to be a 13 episode run like normal, but when Public called and was like, hey, I really need a break. What if we just stop right now with 8 and then we do another 8? Fans will feel like they're getting a whole new season. You're getting more. We get to rest. Yeah. Let's do it. And the reason why he got so burnt out, other than just taking nightmare drugs, was that he, thinks that like, oh, I can write while I'm doing post.
No, you can't.
He doesn't do most of the post. Doc does most of the post. But it still just ends up taking. It sounds really exhausting.
Yeah,
the way they describe it.
I mean, like you get prints back, and then like you have to go. I mean, I ran into this even just with the limited animation work that I did at the marketing studio. But like you get the animation back, and you're terrified to watch it. It's like opening up a faucet and having a bunch of snakes come out, because you're going to have to like make a big list of all the shit that needs to be fixed, and to try to decide whose fault it is and who can fix this quickly enough for us to get this thing out. Like Doc is doing the editing and post, but it is still, the director's job to try and help like guide that. So, going in only having three scripts written and expecting that you're going to have the unbroken focus that you need to to keep writing is naive at best, and it's weird that they keep touching that stove.
Yeah. Well, specifically near the end too, this is one of the later ones that was written in the production order. And so that meant it had a lot to do. And it also has this like ambitious, hostile structure.
Yeah.
And Jackson had to direct this.
Yes.
Near the end. So he's like, yeah, that wasn't easy or anything. Like the book is actually really heartbreaking. This is their most triumphant season, and it just sounds miserable.
Yeah, I love specifically Doc's attitude about like accommodating Jackson in this. Just I want to read this little passage here. It says, anytime somebody says they need a break, there's a reason that they're saying it. So you have to support them, you know? I wouldn't even question it. When somebody is so overwhelmed that they're trying to find a way to pull back, to do their work without having a breakdown, you don't say, oh no, let's trudge forward. I don't have the teeth for that. That's a good collaborator.
Yeah, it's a really mature outlook.
Yes,
it's not the kind of patronizing dad shit that people get into.
Yeah.
The equivalent of this, even if you're not collaborating on a project, is people who won't stop if you need to use the bathroom.
Yeah.
In a car, like why would you argue with that? No, you don't. Like you don't fucking know me. Like it is just callous and shitty to just presume that you understand the urgency of somebody else's needs.
Yes.
Yeah. They had a couple of plans that they had for this. They aborted. They thought about making 21 the new bodyguard. And they didn't want to do that because the job like emasculates you, and they were just now building him up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they wanted to build him up so they didn't have to spend this time tearing him down. Yeah, it's a really weird episode. It's two stories moving in two different directions, at two different timelines.
Yeah.
So there's Brock's story, which Jackson Public was responsible for. This moves chronologically forward in time. And then the Venture Hatred story goes backwards in time.
Yeah.
And the way that they do this is through the length of Hank's hair, and then having these little pop-ups that are the CCG value of a comic book.
Yes.
The Comic Collectors Guild or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Which they say, like, I'm glad they just copped to this. Like, we didn't expect anyone to know what this is.
Yeah.
Like, I knew what it was because I'm a fucking dork, but like, they were just, it wasn't like, oh, you're an idiot if you don't get this.
Yeah. They're just like, no, we introduced it. We didn't expect anybody to get it. It's explained at the end. So there you go. You can, like it should be clear. You as an adult can resequence things at the end. It's all there for you. But also like Venture Brothers rewards repeat watching and rewards nerds. So if you got it, cool, you got it. If you didn't, we explained it anyway. So there you go.
Yeah. And in general, like, it's a weird thing where I respect the hostility. I think that it works in this episode, does not work as well in concert with the jokes as Escape to the House of Mummies.
Yes.
Because this episode is a furniture moving episode. Like, this has things it has to accomplish above all.
Yes.
And it's a comedy show, so jokes are necessary to that, but are secondary. And then because it's the Venture Brothers and Doc Hammer's Hostel, it has to have this weird structure on top of it.
Right.
And that does obfuscate the things they want to do. And that's just kind of part of the impish, like puckish spirit of the show. And you either like it or you don't,
Yeah. The CGC rating that is up here is referring to the value of a comic book. Marvel #1. This is 21's payment for the 24's cloning. He foolishly hands it to Venture, who does not know the value of anything.
Yeah. Because this was written last, there are no callbacks to it or anything like that. It feels like 21 would have been pretty upset.
He would have,
about this whole business.
It's a $500,000 comic.
Yeah, a lot of money.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. It opens with the end of season 3, the explosion. And we see from Brock's point of view, he's injured. 21 is screaming and running around with 24's head. And a soldier runs up, and we get our first flash screen of a Marvel Comics character logo. It says the Human Torch in the Human Torch font.
Yes, and then we see a henchman running by on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's taken to an operating room, and he flatlines. and this indicator pops up showing the CDC rating at 0. And we cut over to kind of chronologically the latest thing that's going to happen until the post credits. Sergeant Hatred, who is, it appears that he's getting ready to snipe Rusty, who was tied up to a chair. Hatred has flowers all stuck in his hat, and his face is painted all colorfully, like with a bunch of flowers, but he's actually trying to rescue Rusty, trying to rescue Dr. Venture. He's covering him because the person he's trying to bodyguard is being held hostage by some Nazis.
Yeah. And we got over to Hank, who also has a rifle. This is part of the throwing you into the deep end.
Yeah.
Of all this stuff, like his dad. He's like, I think I can do it. I think I can ricochet a bullet off his belt buckle and hit the bad guys. And Hatred, people, who question why I like Hatred. It's all season 4 stuff. Like, he's so good in this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just he established, like reestablishing himself in his relationship with the boys with this line, Hank, I will give you so much money not to shoot your dad.
Yeah, it's very cute. I also love the part in the book where they're talking about it, where they're like, no, dude, like he's got this sort of Damocles over him. Yeah. Because people think he's this one-note child molester, but he's also the kind of guy who brings Okra to a problem. Like he's this like gregarious sweetheart. That's the Hatred I see in this. Hatred radios the dean as well, who's part of this operation, saying, you need to stab Hitler. We cut over, Hitler turns out is a dog. And there's a lot of Senator Nicoclaus just saying, like, I love Hitler. What? Hitler never did anything. Yeah. That is only funny because of the voice performance.
Yep. Just, because he doesn't understand. He just, he is using that name. He's referring to this dog that he's gotten attached to because he's a child. Yeah.
Yeah. He's hanging out with, so at this point, Hatred tells Helper to do it, and Helper walks up as in the walking eye. Yeah. Again, just throwing us into the deep end.
Yep.
The dog charges Helper, breaking the leash, and then Orpheus pops up dressed up in his Raiders of the Lost Ark outfit here. Tells Dean not to, to look away, and he shoots this purple lightning around the compound trying to kill Hitler, but ends up actually just killing the Nazis that are holding Rusty hostage. Here, the main Nazi looks up and says, "It's so beautiful," just like the Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then his face melts like Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, and gets all over Rusty. He's tied into the chair. You're getting a face all over me.
Yeah, hot melting face. Gross.
We get our new title sequence. We got Hatred put in there in the place of Brock, right? And we're going to enter the part of the story, back towards the beginning, with Brock and his escape from the OSI. He quit. He didn't just quit bodyguard. He didn't just quit the bodyguard assignment. He doesn't want anything to do with the spy game anymore. He got dicked around too much, right? Yeah. But he wakes up in a recovery room. His torso is bandaged, and he's just in terrible pain. And he sees that he's in the shed, the speculative human engineering division.
Yeah. As he walks by, he overhears people in the hall, which he thinks they're talking about what to do with him.
Yeah.
Here. They're like, oh, should we just do a brain wipe? And no way, that this guy's got 20 years worth of news we can use. I love news we can use as a phrase. We just need to do an attitude adjustment to rid him of his antisocial tendencies. Brock runs away. It turns out they're talking to Hatred.
Yes.
Hatred said, I kind of need a job. So this is coming back in the fold. They're giving him the no molestol. Time to make all those little naked boys in your head go away.
Yeah. Injecting him with a drug that will suppress the extremely problematic and horrible it
would be a real miracle drug in real life.
It would, yeah.
Yeah,
I kind of
not for me, but my body produces that naturally. I'm insulin resistant, not no molestol resistant, but it'd be a real godsend.
It would, yeah. It would save
pedophiles out there.
It would save a lot of heartache for people. Yeah. So Brock thinks that people are pursuing him. But instead it turns out they're chasing down an invisible man, just an unrelated invisible man. And I love this detail. They're shooting with paintballs so they can keep track of him.
Yeah, it's great looking. Like, it looks like he's in the Little Miss Can't Be Wrong video. Brock grabs a doctor and is like, what the hell did you do to me? He's like, no, the sick bay was full. We saved your life. And he pulls off his torso bandages, and the explosion embedded Helper's head into his chest.
Yep.
Here, who's still alive.
Helper's is jabbering.
He's, the doctor's like, please don't kill me. He says, I'm not. He opens the door of the fortress, jumps out, and instead kills a random OSI agent by using his jetpack as a hoverboard.
Yep.
As he's falling, Helper starts beeping and he goes, no, don't activate your emergency helicopter blades. We'll both die. You have to trust me.
Oh, it's so good. Hey, Beaker, don't panic, please.
Yep.
We cut to Hank. Again, this is the story that's moving backwards. So we're kind of in the sequence right before the operation to take out the Nazis. Hank's appearance is different here. He's not dressed like Fred from Scooby-Doo anymore. His hair is grown out. He's reading a comic. We see the value rating on there. It is at $850. So there's still something there, but it's like all shot and it's covered in blood and shit and stuff like that. He's in the bathroom with Orpheus, Dean, and Hatred. They're getting ready to do this operation.
Yeah. And very specifically, Hank is dressing like Brock.
Yes, he's wearing Brock's denim jacket with the sheepskin collar.
Yeah. And growing his hair out.
Yes.
For Brock reasons. Hatred is going over the plan to deal with the Nazis while Dean paints his face, painting it all colorfully. Hank is over it. Is it me or does every Nazi want to kill Hitler? It's all or clone Hitler. That's all they really want to do. Hatred says something, he's one of the greatest murderers of all time. And Dean gets really upset. How can you say that about Hitler? I love Hitler and Hitler loves me. He's not all that bad. He just needs someone to believe in him. Can you give Hitler a chance? Which is just saved by the voice performance.
Yes.
Dean runs away like a babby. In the face of having to murder Hitler.
Yeah. Just say you need to kill him. He's a mass murderer. No, he's not gonna want to kill his dog. Orpheus is here. He hands Hatred a mirror saying, hey, you need to look at what Dean did. Hatred has Dean to paint camouflage on his face, but he did it all multicolored, like a kid would do. Yeah.
Yeah, clown makeup. Halloween clown makeup.
Yeah. So, Hank says that he'll kill Hitler. Oh, I've killed hundreds of Nazis with grenade launchers. They look at him like, okay, what is this? Medal of Honor Heroes 2. Oh.
Very specific poll.
Yep.
The Wii and PSP Medal of Honor.
Yep.
Game. Weird. Stick to Tomb Raider, boys. Orpheus says, you can't do it because Hitler needs to be killed with his golden dagger after the ritual cleansing is done, and only Dean can get close enough because Hitler likes Dean.
Right.
Hatred's like, okay, can you guys get out of here? I got to wipe. It turns out the whole time he's been sitting on the toilet, he's actually been shitting. We're at war. You go when you can, soldier. We're with the Nazis again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's this running plot of them being out of toilet paper in the Venture compound. So he asks Hank for the magazine so he can shit or so he can wipe his ass with it, which is always a thing that happens in movies and stuff. I find that newspaper or magazine, the times I've tried to wipe my ass with that because I was a kid and saw it in movies and didn't have toilet paper, it doesn't work very well.
Well, I mean, so comic newsprint, especially that old pulp, probably would have worked better, but a glossy, ripping a page out of a Red Book or whatever, that happens to
just moving it around.
Yeah, it is not absorbent as it needs to be. Again, not to be gross and not to be crass. It's just it's a real stopgap. You are not solving the problem.
No, in those situations, I would almost rather take out my underwear and use that, and then throw away my underwear and raw dog it.
Or you're in, you're in a bathroom. You to take a shower.
Oh, sure. If you're at home, for some reason, because if I'm at home, I'm in. I'll just waddle out. I'll crab walk to the to get some more toilet paper. I'm thinking about being in public.
Yes.
I've been trapped in a stall before, and that fucking sucks.
Yeah.
That's wild, man. I check. And I have been for 30 years because it happened to me once.
Yep. Oh, it only needs to happen once.
Yeah. Oh boy. So whatever janitor had to pick up my soiled underwear out of the garbage can in like the Ponderosa in Aurora, Illinois when I was 9. I'm sorry.
I apologize to the combination KFC Long John Silver in Indiana. It's real.
A lot of Ponderosas and a lot of Long John Silvers that dealt with our
I did my best.
Yeah. It's a rough time.
Yeah.
So Hank now goes out. He's got his classic look. We're in a different time period now. Goes out. This is right after the battle.
Yeah.
Talking to Mr. Doe in the hallway, says he needs toilet paper. Doe says, "Where do you keep the shit tickets in this place? Shit tickets." And finds Dr. Venture's room and is just kind of taken aback by how 70s it is.
Yes. Yeah, 1978 called. We can tell that this is right after the battle between the Monarch and OSI because the helicopters are still here and they're out scraping the clone slugs off the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Brock, who had just jumped out previously, from the flying fortress, he emerges from the compound's fountain like it's apocalypse now.
Yeah. The Submariner. Dean is in the living room reading Giant Boy Detective, Mr. Card Holder. It's a lot more fun if you read Susie's parts. Okay, Wishbone. And he just grabs the book and says, it says the end of it. And we can tell he wasn't a farmer. He was a gold miner. Why? Because cow pies don't sparkle.
Yeah.
That was gold dust. And Dean is very like, huh.
I just love like some of the writing, especially like the dialogue. Like it's simple.
Your freakishly inhuman voice.
Yeah. It's simple. Boomed Giant Boy Detective. It's like, of course he would boom. He's 30 feet tall.
Like Giant Boy Detective is such a great dumb idea.
Oh, I love it.
He'd be like the worst detective. Reminds me of like Brayton's old D&D character he had, Rogar the Ogre Rogue.
Oh, that's good. God, Brayton's funny.
I love that man. It's one of my favorites.
Oh man. But Brock knocks Mr. Cardholder out. He's here to get his bug out bag. And he gives, says like, "Hey, Dean, just I got to get out of here before, Hank comes, take my communicator watch. I'm not going to see you for a while." Brock leaves. Hank, got so much stuff about shit in this episode. Hank comes down the stairs. He says, "I had a total crepa situation back there. Took me a while to lock it down." Like crepa referring to crayon pastels, like a particular kind of thing. So like just it's like I was wiping a felt tip marker is how I've referred to that.
Pretty nasty, like relatable but nasty.
Yeah.
Really, really great little miniature deliveries here. I love when Dean sees Helper. He's like, "Oh, can we, have Helper back?" He's like, "Yeah, I gotta borrow him for a little while." He's lodged his chest, and he has to explain that. Very funny.
Love it. But Hank doesn't believe that Brock was here until he sees the communicator watch. This is heartbreaking. Hank looks up to Brock, and this kind of starts, his grieving process, and also, we're going to see he does not take well to the presence of to his new stepdad, basically.
Cut back to shortly after the finale, or cut forward rather. Hank's hair's grown out. He's wearing Brock's jacket. The CGC rating is $8,000, so still doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Dean is reading Giant Boy Detective to Hitler, the dog, who he is named Giant Boy Detective.
Yep.
And Hank reminds him like, "Hey, that dog has to go." They hear the X1 approaching, so they think Brock is back, but it turns out it's 21 and some dudes dressed as barbarians coming down the stairs. He brought his LARP crew, the Orchard Street Wolf Pack, which is a really good name.
Yeah.
For a LARP crew. Made me remind me of Darkon, a really funny movie. And he thinks that, like, at first, like, Rusty comes out and he thinks that they did it, but it has butterflies and Rusty Venture eating dicks all over it. So I think the Monarch boys did that.
Yeah, I just love that the X1 is just covered with graffiti that has just been laid out there.
I've come to your village to speak with your necromancer. 21 says.
Yeah.
I love Rusty being like, "Kill these guys," to Hatred. Hatred's being like, "Oh, foam sword there. Yeah, I made it myself. Mine's a battle axe. Like,
well, I just the commentary is fun because like, oh yeah, like we knew how to do that because like, you know, we've LARPed, we knew LARP people, and just they talked about like, yeah, you know, it was like a plastic plumbing pipe that we covered with foam so it would be safe, and then we wrapped it with enough duct tape that it was unsafe again.
Unsafe. Well, they specifically say that they didn't LARP. They just hung out with Ben Edlund.
Oh yeah.
So they just like took the boffers and beat the crap out of each other for a summer.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was even, you know, there's no role at all.
Yeah. Dudes rock.
Just live action hitting.
Yeah. live action friend violence.
Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, you know, Gary has some business to attend to. And Rusty walks after him saying like, hey, I'm in real deep shit with this cloning thing. You know, the OSI is writing me and have these other guys who want me to clone their dear leader. And so Gary 21 says like, hey, you know, I can give you this price. I says, no, I gave you my priceless family heirloom, but you deceived me. He's here to talk to the necromancer. He's here to talk to Orpheus.
Yeah. Orpheus says he's not quite a necromancer. It just sounds less goofy than like wizard or mage.
Mm-hmm. It's basically all we have left.
Yeah. Does not specifically raise the dead. This contradicts a little bit of earlier stuff.
Yeah.
When people question his mastery over the dead and he's like, do you even know what I do?
Mm-hmm.
You know, but it also explains why he's not been summoning skeletons.
Yeah.
The whole time. You know, they're getting interrupted by this growling, and Dean yelling is because Hitler is chewing on a mummified hand. This is like the ancient artifact of something. I can't remember the name, but this is a real ass thing.
Mm-hmm.
Orpheus says the dog is evil, and 21 corrects him and says this is learned behavior. Usually get it from the owner. And Orpheus says not even the great Caesar Milan could soothe this beast.
Just like, I understand what you're saying, 21. Like I've also seen that show. This is literally Hitler.
Yeah. In this case,
it doesn't apply. Oh man. Orpheus asked Dean like, you know, for his funny pages, so he can go and, you know, whack the dog to get it to drop the hand. And he's like, hey, what was that comic book? They don't even say, you know, like, oh, you know, it needs to be killed because it contains the soul of evil. You know, and Dean shouts, why does everybody want to kill my dog? And Orpheus warps away to prepare for the cleansing ritual.
We cut to the jungle. We're back in the Brock storyline. The doctor the doctor who performed Hunter's sex change surgery is here, who has a name in season 6, Dr. Volcano. Mm-hmm. He's talking to this lead Nazi who we've seen saying that, like, you know, he did the best he could, but you're going to need to get another body. You're going to be all out of Reichs. Mm-hmm. So they put, you know, the thing that happened is they put Hitler's soul into a dog.
Yeah.
But it's a temporary holding measure.
Yes, it is the vessel. It is the temporary grail. I love this character. This is just Brendan Small doing the Adelberg voice from home movies. Just vaguely Central European, like, oh, you're going to be out of race. It's just like
it's really hard to do. Like you just did it. Whenever I try to do it, I also turn into like an old Ozarks.
Yeah.
Like shopkeep. Mm-hmm. He's very good at it.
Yes. Brendan Small is a talented man. Yeah,
he's great. Brock shows up. You know, he's like, you know, pretty low for you to be working for Nazis. He says, like, you know, I need some help. The doctor guesses, oh, you know, you want to punch Hunter, like you want me to cut off your ding dong so you can have a cat fight Meow. And he goes, no. You know, he pulls his chest open and shows that he's got Helper there. The doctor's like, you gotta change your mind. I put in a lot of robot hearts ever since Iron Man came out. It's very funny. Yeah.
Just all of these elective arc reactor surgeries.
It's very funny. And then Brock lies down on the table, and the doctor's like, why do you trust me? You know, I could kill you. And he pulls out a grenade, pulls the pin, and puts the grenade in Helper's mouth. Mm-hmm. Which I love this.
Yeah.
Like, Helper will drop the grenade. And just blow everybody up.
Yeah. So that's how Brock survives, and, you know, how we have Helper later on with the the body of the walking eye, which is hilarious. So cut back to the Venture storyline. We're in the hangar. The value rating on the comic is 22,000. So not great, not near what it was, but still in okay shape. Hatred is asleep, and Dean is trying to put a handgun back together. He's like, "Oh, I'm done." Stopwatch doesn't have an hour function. I love this. Hatred is trying to train Dean, on firearms or whatever. Dean did so badly that he ended up putting his blindfold in it. He was both trying to do it all blindfolded, and it ended up being like part of the slide. It's really good.
It's a really funny image.
Yeah.
There. He had to stop because he doesn't know how long it was because the stopwatch doesn't have an hour hand.
Yeah.
So Hank walks in and Hatred yells at him for not being in uniform, not being in his Venture Blues. He's wearing the Brock's jacket, and he's reading the comic. He's like, "Oh, you're not the boss of me." He's like, I am full on Charles in charge of you. I'm who's the boss to your spunky little Melissa Milano.
We're a unit. He's trying to bring this military discipline here, and Hank basically just pulls a "you're not my real dad." And so Hatred says, "All right, well, shoot me then. If you're gonna disrespect me like this, you might as well just shoot me. So go ahead and take the gun. If this is what it takes to earn my respect, you can shoot me. Just take it all out."
Yeah, I again kind of love it. Like I like Sergeant Hatred. He's like, at this point, he's like, "Shoot me, Henry Allen Venture," and he's like, "I don't like Henry," and it's Hank. "I don't like Henry." He's like, "Well, I love Henry." He's just like all in, as like uncle. At this point, he eventually, he starts, crying, or Dean runs off crying. Hank starts kind of freaking out, and he fires and misses a bunch. And Hatred saying like, "Each of those are like $1. They're coming out of your allowance." The final shot hits the comic, ricochets, and grazes Hatred's arm. And Hank is very sorry, but Hatred is very overjoyed at this point.
And just remember when Hatred took a bullet for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sweet. Dean comes running back into the hangar because Helper chased him. He was walking by. And Rusty, being the monster he is, like, "Oh, it's just a Helper, Dean.
Yeah,
he just wants a hug."
I love this. Rusty doesn't have a single care in the world for Helper, right? When Helper was, the robot nanny, but the second he has a use for him as like it's like, "Oh, we can do the walking eye." Now all of a sudden he's part of the family when he's horrifying.
I didn't see it like that at all. I thought he was just torturing Dean.
Oh no, I
think he knew that the walking eye was scary. He's like, "It's Helper. He just wants a hug." And this kid is crying and running away, and he's teasing him.
I literally think that he's just insensitive. He doesn't realize that the boys are attached to Helper because he does nothing but resent and ignore Helper.
Everybody write in at the end of the thing. How did you interpret his line? Press 1. We cut over to Brock. He's fat and he has a big long curly mullet and beard. He's been kind of getting back into the game, training with Steve Austin and Bigfoot in the woods. Steve Austin's like, "Do you want to take some more time? Like, you're not in the best shape. I invited you to go running with us." He's like, "You're no fun to run with because you have those bionic legs."
But they're trying to talk him out of leaving because Brock says, "Hey, there's only so many options left to me. I can't stay out here hiding forever." He's packing his stuff up. I love this. He's been doing art therapy with them.
It's really cute. It's not art therapy. It's not really my bag, but I made you this. It's just like shitty little picture of Steve Austin and Bigfoot.
I love it. It was like, "Oh, we love it. We're gonna treasure it forever." It's like, "Oh,
it's very sweet."
Like what good friends, taking in our buddy and helping him get over the huge betrayal that he suffered. It's great.
It's darling.
Yeah. Brock, again, just being a good friend, he tells Bigfoot, like, "Hey, gotta stay away from those campers. I don't want to see you on YouTube again."
Very cute.
Oh, I love Bigfoot.
Yeah. Yep. It's super good. Cut over to Rusty in the cloning lab. The CGC rating is $53,000. And he's talking to the Nazis. He's like, "Why does everyone want clones? The last guy tried to pay me in a comic. What are you going to give me, a dog? I need cash." And the main Nazi says, "Your family will be rewarded living like kings in the glory of the new father land, and they all hail. And then Rusty at this point realizes that they're Nazis.
No way, you're not way. You guys are Nazis. Nein, we are not.
Yeah, that's very funny. Nein, we are not. Rusty is like, oh, your German accents are horrible. And the lead Nazi says, this dog is the blood grail, has the blood of the grail. This is not a request. 8 months to clone Hitler, or the consequences will be dire.
Yeah. So that was what we saw at the beginning of the episode, was them coming in and, Rusty having not made any progress. All that happened was Dean got attached to the dog.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. They says like, hey, Brock is gone. We need a bodyguard. Buck up. Dean, don't get attached to the dog. The dog shits on the floor, and Rusty uses this priceless comic book to scoop it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Back to the Brock timeline. Molotov is talking to Hunter, going through some contracts that are offered to them up in the Blackheart HQ. And Brock is watching them from the vent. And as he's crawling along, he runs into a Sphinx guy. This doesn't add up. Mm-hmm. Sphinx has been disbanded. They're not a thing anymore. And they start arguing over who has dibs on the Blackhearts,
Molotov says that she thinks there's a mole in the organization. Hunter starts getting awkward about it, but they get interrupted when Brox and the Sphinx guy fall through the ceiling. Mm-hmm. They land on Molotov, so Brock doesn't see her. Brock gets up after he takes out the Sphinx guy and walks towards Hunter. Hey, you can stab me in the back, but you have the balls to shoot me. And she just says, Hunter goes back and forth. Hunter is gender fluid. Yeah. Nope, but she does. And Molotov shoots him out of the window. There's a real, he lands on a palm tree, which gently sets him down, which is a real coincidence.
It's a real Looney Tunes kind of detail.
Yeah, it's a pretty weird little moment. I would have just had him fall in a dumpster or something.
Yeah.
But Sphinx guys who were there with their operative in the vents pick him up.
Yeah.
From a van and load him up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cut back to the cloning lab. We're back towards the beginning. Rusty is talking to Gary, talking to 21. And the value rating pops up at $500,000 here. And Rusty is kind of explaining to him like, hey, you don't understand. I if I do this, if I clone 24, he's just going to be a baby without the memories. And, 21 is so ride or die, is like, okay, well, I'll just raise him as my own son. I just need him back.
Yeah. He just says, I thought maybe he would have looked like Hank.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows about this clone thing. And this just really underlines that the clone thing is kaput.
Yes. Yeah.
Gary goes to hand over his payment, $500,000. Like, this relic belonged to my father's father, and then passed down to the first male of every generation. And it's Marvel Comics #1, the very first Marvel comic. Rusty says it's worth 10 cents. Mm-hmm. Being pretty naive here.
Yeah. Look, I wasn't born yesterday. There's no way something featuring Khazar the Great and 12 pages of jungle adventure is worth $500,000.
Weird. Khazar is still around. It's super strange. Yeah, Khazar gets around, man. Huh. 21 says, we'll just hold on to the comic for now and look up its value online. He hands over a cooler with cloning material. 21's finger still has the Blackbeard's diamond treasure ring. You can keep that too. It's worth 2 low payments of $29.99. Very sweet.
Yeah.
I don't like this little bit where 21 leaves and is snarky to Hank.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is he's been sympathetic to Hank. I hate killing you, dude. He's been sympathetic, and he's really Sith mode.
I didn't read this as outwardly malicious. I think that he just kind of thought we had this conversation before. It's a callback to the way we talked about your immortality or whatever. Sorry.
If you look at his face, he looks very very off-putting.
Yeah.
He sounds very dismissive.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. Hank is confused at this. He has no idea what he's talking about. Again, because it's not really, Hank goes a few seasons, and I don't think he even understands exactly what has happened, as of the end of the series.
Oh, he knows that he's a clone when Dean tells him. It happens after the Halloween special where Dean gets
gotcha. Yeah, where he gets confirmed.
Way after that.
Oh yeah, because Hank is think, oh wow, that's really cool, and Dean he doesn't have any of the existential crisis that Dean has about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Dean's a mopey, depressed cure teenager.
Yes.
Turning into a man Triana. He shows up, he has this box. He's like, this box came for you. It's beeping. He says like, what, did explosive device never occur to you? You had to be more careful, Hank. Your safety net's gone. He goes, yeah, I know, Brock's gone. Dodging it. The box has Helper's head wrapped in Brock's jacket. And there's, Helper's jabbering and really upset. Brock left him on for the entire trip. It's kind of their way of using the flashback they were going to have of Helper being on in the closet during the entire time Rusty went to college. Mm-hmm. If you remember them talking about that planned plot, this is their kind of like nod to that.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I love how callous he is, because Rusty's like, hey, like hold in both of his eyes while I hit the switch on the back. Hank's like, oh, are you retrieving data files so we can learn where Brock is? Like, he's in Argentina near a mailboxes, etc. No, I'm gonna hard reboot Helper. I'm not paying to send a robot to therapy.
That's so good. Yeah. Poor little Helper.
Oh.
Hank asks if he can keep Brock's jacket. And Rusty says, if you're so excited about worthless garbage, why don't you have this too? And gives him the comic. And he immediately opens it up and starts flipping through it roughly. And you see the value start plummeting.
Yeah. What is this crap? Where's Batman?
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah.
We get our kind of finale here. Brock is naked, tied to a chair, and a Sphinx guy is interrogating him about his relationship with Molotov cocktease. Mm-hmm. He has a metal plate bolted to his chest here where they took out Helper's head. And they don't believe that he's unaware of their operation. They don't believe that he's not with the OSI anymore.
Yeah.
And he walks away here, deliberately revealing that Hunter is tied to the back of the chair.
Yes. And Hunter doesn't understand why Brock is mad at him, for the whole betrayal thing. He says, oh, those assassins were nothing. I didn't send you anything that you couldn't handle. Right. And I got you out of that dead end job. Get to be a man again. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we talked about this during the last episode about it being weird to me that Hunter just doesn't care who dies.
Yeah. No.
In the face of this, a couple of people wrote in the Patreon, and we're like, no, that felt right to me. That's just going to be interpretation, whether something feels right or not.
Yeah.
It's not like there's like evidence that he would think this or evidence that he would think that. It's just what you think of the character so far.
Yeah. Yeah. And Brock's like, oh, so what do you want me to do? Join your little thrill kill girls club? Sorry, I don't have the tits for it. Of course, there's a little fat joke here. Could have fooled me, popping fresh. Yeah.
Brock slowly puts it together. Like, unless, Hunter, you're working undercover. I love, that's it. Work it out. Thinkenstein. Thinkenstein is very funny. Saying like Sphinx wasn't after Molotov, they were after Hunter. And Hunter, who has now escaped, throws his cap and wig back at Brock and says, boy, oh, you don't know Dick. He no longer has breast at this point. He's wearing a Sphinx uniform, and there are tons of Sphinx agents around him. And there are credits here. Then we get a very long post-credit scene again, which basically continues this and brings those two timelines together.
Yes.
And wraps up all the Hitler Giant Boy Detective stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, Orpheus has just finished catching the spell. The main Nazi's face is melted, but Giant Boy Detective ran away. So, we still have Hitler's soul and blood out there. So we need to clean that up. We need to get a golden dagger in that boy.
Yep. So Hank is up in the hills. He hears someone approaching. It turns out it's the dog. It's Hitler who's ready to attack, but Brock tackles and kills the dog with the golden dagger. And Hank is about to radio his dad, and Shore Leave stops him. Yeah. Here, it turns out like he just says hi to Hank, like, "Hey, Hank, killed Hitler."
Cross that off the list of cool shit I never thought I'd get to do.
Hank is crying. He's like, "Why did you leave?" And Brock says, like, "I'll never leave you. But right now these guys need me more than you do."
Yes.
And you can't tell anybody that I'm around. Yeah. So setting up, he's gone for the first half of the season. And then they wrote this episode at the end to kind of explain why he's been gone.
Yeah. Yeah. And so he disappears, goes off into Sphinx land, and Hatred walks up, asking like, "Hey, Hank, did you kill Hitler?" And he says, "No, an angel killed him." And then ultimately he takes credit. No, I definitely killed Hitler.
Well, because he wants the ice cream cake.
Yeah.
Sergeant Hatred said, "Oh, if you had, I was going to buy you a big ice cream cake." And he goes, "Oh, I'm just totally kidding. It was me." Because ice cream cake is a powerful motivator.
It is.
Yeah. And that's the episode. It accomplishes a lot. It's probably like pretty firmly in my bottom half of episodes of this season, but it's more because the season is really good.
The highs are really high.
Yeah. And there are straighter putts this season that I think I really prefer.
It's just one of those things, like, anything that relies on a structure like this, or anything that like has a structure like this, you kind of have to work out, like, what is that hiding? What's its purpose here? Like, if we de-interlaced it, and I considered like taking all of this and putting it into chronological order so we could present it in a less confusing way, but that wouldn't be, honest to the way the episode worked. But okay, like if I took this and put it in the actual order, like what would be revealed about the soundness of the story? Would it still be entertaining? And it just turns out like what they're trying to accomplish is, getting across the events of a very long period of time without it feeling like an episode long montage.
Yeah. Yep. And largely successful at that, even if it doesn't end up being my absolute all-time fave overall or anything. Thanks everybody for listening. We appreciate you. We'll be back in a week with another episode. If you'd like to get episodes early, head on over to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv. Please do. You get episodes early, and you can also get bonus episodes of other shows and whole bonus shows even. It is a good time. Otherwise, leaving a rating or review in Apple Podcasts or whatever directory you use, that helps us out a great deal. And tell your friends. Yeah, we would love that. And until next time, go Team Venture.